look at like the second bullet point, the second main bullet point, things I want you guys to have in class is a 3-ring binder. So if you don't have that today, you don't get it till the weekend if you don't have one, or if you like need one, I'm sure I have some extras. Because we'll get every day our notes will come with the 3-hole punches. So you want a 3-ring binder, a calculator, so start bringing that on a regular basis, excuse me, and then a pencil or a pen. I'm not gonna like not accept your homework if it's on a pen or a pen. So it's whatever you don't mind. If your homework's messy because you make mistakes, it's fine. Biggest thing is we will get homework almost every day in this class, but I will try to give you guys time every day to work on it. So just know that, like I said, I typically try to have the notes done by 9 in here, which gives us about 15 minutes to get started on it. Today I'll maybe even try to have it a little bit more than that. So just know that every day typically we'll have some sort of math practice. So some days it's longer, some days it's shorter, it just kind of depends. So just a heads up there, if you ever are struggling with it, you're always welcome to come in during AR. Now I do have AR first and then lunch, so if that's the opposite of you, if you want to come and eat your lunch in here and work on your math during AR, that's perfectly fine. Just let me know or let your teacher know, we can get things figured out. So, and homework is a small percentage of your grade, but if you do your homework every day and make sure you're understanding, I honestly will tell you guys you will be fine in here. It's not going to be anything harder than that you get tested on, and I'll help you guys if you're struggling, so let me know. That's kind of a good check mark or checkpoint each day to make sure you guys are understanding. If you're understanding the homework, you'll be fine on the test. If you're not doing the homework and not understanding, yeah, you'll probably struggle. So the two go very closely together. So yeah, just let me know though if you guys have questions. I definitely would prefer you guys understand and are happy in here. I don't want to be like the scary math teacher that like you have nightmares about. So hopefully that won't be the case. So yeah, hopefully it'll be good. So we're going to talk about adding and subtracting real numbers. Basically, real numbers are positive, negative, just numbers we work with all the time. So positive and negative numbers. I don't use words like really mathematical words all the time. So like your book will use real number. I'm not going to use that very often. I'm just going to call them numbers, or I'm going to say add these. So positive and negative numbers. They could be whole numbers, they could be decimals, fractions. So there's 4 examples up here, positive and negative numbers. So again, you can use your calculator, but I also want you to think about these, because I don't think these are impossible for you guys to do, because I don't want you to have to grab your calculator every time you add 2 numbers together. So a -3 and a -2. I always say think about it in a way that makes sense to you. Like think of it as money, or think of it as the temperature outside, or think of it as yards on the football field. So you lost $3, and then you lost 2 more. How much did you lose? 5. You don't magically gain $5 if you lost 3 and you lost 2, so that's going to be a -5. So think of it as something that makes sense. So again, like lost 3 yards in the football game and then lost 2 more. How far back are they from where they started? Or you lost, the temperature went down 3 degrees and down 2 more. Think about it in something that makes sense to you. So you don't have to grab your calculator and say, I forgot what happens when I add 2 negatives. Think of it as something that makes sense. This next one, the double negative, I think is super confusing. So sometimes maybe that's why you grab a calculator. If I'm subtracting a negative, it's really the same thing as what? Does anyone know? It's a much easier way to think of that. Just adding. It's really 4 plus 7. A double negative, it's like I'm saying I'm not going to school today. Not means I am going to school then. So 4 plus 7. And then they'll just give us 11, positive 11. And it's okay to grab your calculator. I'm not going to say don't use your calculator on this, but if you want to grab your calculator, just make sure you're putting it in correctly and it makes sense to you. The next one is kind of a confusing one when this happens. One's positive and one's negative. So 5 is positive and 8 is negative. So 5 plus a negative 8. So I'm going up 5, but then down 8. What happens then? Yeah. Go ahead. It ends up being a negative 3. So you had $5, but then you owed someone 8. You still owe them $3. So you're down still. You have less than what you'd like. Or the temperature went up 5 degrees and down 8, so like kind of our difference is negative 3. So again, thinking of a way to think of it in a way that makes sense. And then a negative 1 plus 6. So I owed someone $1, and then I had $6. So what am I left with? 5, positive, right? Because the positive number is bigger. I went down 1, but then up 6. And again, feel free, it's okay to grab your calculator. I'm not going to slap it out of your hand, freak out on you on it. It's okay to grab that and make sure you guys are comfortable with that. All right, then we can also do this with fractions and decimals. And that might be a little bit tougher, and that might be a time you want to grab your calculator and make sure you have it, because I know adding and subtracting decimals is really tough. I know adding and subtracting with fractions is really hard as well. So don't be afraid to grab a calculator on some of these. However, I think the first one we can actually do. Because plus and negative is really the same thing as what? Adding a negative is really just the same thing as what? Anyone know? Yeah. What's it? Yeah, it's just the same thing as subtracting. So really what I'm doing here is I'm just doing 2/3 minus a 1/5. It really just becomes a subtraction problem. So kind of thinking back to the front side of our notes, what do we need to do with these fractions then? What do we need? Yep.
Common denominator.
Common denominators. And what's it going to be?
15.
So 3 and 15, the smallest number, or sorry, 3 and 5, the smallest number they can both become is 15. So this one I can multiply by 5. So this is 10 over 15. And this one I can multiply by 3. So 3 over 15, and I'll subtract those. So 10 minus 3 is 7, and then 15ths. And again, need your calculator, go ahead and do that. Make sure that you guys are getting there. Now this one actually I think might be the toughest problem on here. Is the ideas with negatives and then also decimals might really throw you. And so that might be something you want to put into your calculator. You just want to make sure you know how to put it in correctly. Now, with the double negative, the two negatives, like we said, is really like adding. And so this one's kind of confusing. I know my answer is going to be negative because I go down 7.5, and then, or sorry, 7.8, and then I go up 2.5. I'm still negative. And so really it's almost like I'm subtracting these two, but again, if you want to grab a calculator, you can. So a negative 7.8, it's really like you're subtracting, so it's going to be a negative 5.3, I believe. And so that might be one you want to grab a calculator for. 7.8 minus 2.5 is 5.3, but it's negative because we're more negative than we are positive. All right, so our last little section of problems here we're going to talk about is actually getting into some algebra. So now this is kind of the start, kind of the beginning of that algebra idea. And so it's where we're going to actually have to substitute. So it wants us to evaluate these expressions. Now evaluate just basically means find the answer. So, and that's kind of what so basically they want you to get an answer out of this. is they're giving us some values for A, C, and E here. So we're going to substitute first. We're going to substitute the values for the variables. We're going to put those values into the problem. Because if you try to put these into your calculator, A minus C, your calculator won't know how to do that. So we're going to put these values in. So like for example 6, I'm going to do 5 minus A. So A is a negative 5. So I have that double negative. Plus C, which is 7. So I rewrote that with those values substituted in. Then we want to find the answer. So we're basically going to do this problem using the math we know. So evaluate just means find the answer. So that means however you need to get to your answer, calculator, no calculator, you know, like whatever you get to the answer from, we have to do 5 minus a negative 5 plus 7. Again, that double negative 5 minus a negative 5 really becomes 5 plus 5 plus 7. And I just add across there. So 5 plus 5 plus 7, we get 17. And so I'll give you guys a little bit of time to try the next couple. Now this one's a little bit tough because of the parentheses. So just remember parentheses want you to do parentheses first. But again, feel free to use calculator, whatever you guys want to do to check these answers. So I'll give you guys a little bit of time for 7 and 8. All right, how'd we do on these? Give you a little bit of time. I see a few of you guys still writing. All right, so we're going to substitute these values in. So C is 7. They tell us that up here. Minus, and then I do my parentheses. A is a negative 5, minus 3. So this takes us back a little bit more because it's been a while since you've had math, because you probably haven't had math since last May. So it's okay if you're a little bit rusty on this. Do you remember that you have to do parentheses first? So we actually have to do, order of operation tells us we have to do parentheses first. And we'll talk more about the order of operation in the next few days. So if you totally forgot that, that's okay. What's negative 5 and negative 3 together? Yep.
Negative 10.
Oh, think about it. Lost 5, lost 3 more.
Oh, negative 8.
Yeah, so negative 8. It's okay. That's why we're talking about it. Oh, now I just wrote down what you said. I'm just going to agree with you. You're always right. So negative 8 there. down 5, down 3 more. But these two negatives are going to become a positive. So this really becomes 7 plus 8. So we end up with 15 here. And this might be a good one to try putting into your calculator and making sure you know how to enter negatives. The negative button on most of your calculators is different than the subtraction button, so you have to just be careful with kind of playing around with that. And then our last one here, and then I'm going to do something else with you guys before I give you your homework, but we're almost done here with our... Hey.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Thought he was creeping on us. So A minus C minus E. So A is a negative 5, minus C is 7, minus E, which is this ugly negative 2.1. So right away I see those double negatives. I want to switch that. Now, in a problem like this, we just want to do this like left to right, kind of like you're reading a sentence. So we're going to go across here. So negative 5 minus 7 is going to be a negative 12. Down 5, down 7 more. And then plus 2.1. So again, depending on your comfort level with negatives and positives, this might be one you want to, and decimals, you might want to grab your calculator, it's okay. I know it's going to be a negative because 12 is bigger than 2.1. And then I believe we end up with 9.9. And like I said, it's okay if you're not comfortable with that, as just like mathematically that's not an easy thing for you to do. 12 minus 2.1, perfectly fine to grab a calculator. All right. Now our homework sounds like a puzzle all in itself, and I'll explain that in a second. Before we do that, I do want us to get online just in case we ever need some extra practice, or I have to be gone a day and I can't get my lesson together, like if something happens where I'm actually like sick where I can't record a lesson at home. I like to have us set up with a Khan Academy account. Now you might groan because you probably did Khan Academy in middle school and I hated it. I promise we will not do it on a regular basis in here. It's kind of just like a like backup if we need it. So you're going to want to get your computer out. And I sent you guys an email this morning. And it has a link to that Khan Academy. So those of you guys online as well, if you guys could go into your email, you should have gotten an email from me. If you didn't, let me know. As you guys are getting that out, I want to explain this multiples of 3 homework. I wanted you guys to do a variety of problems, but I didn't want you to have to do every one of them. So multiples of 3 is kind of confusing, so I'll rewrite it. It just means every 3rd problem. So I'll write this out in case you're like, holy cow, what is she talking about? I wasn't trying to be horrible, but I was trying to shorten the homework, but then it ended up being confusing. And then so if you wanna, and these problems, it seems like a lot, but realize they don't really take that long, hopefully. For homework, this is our homework for tonight. If you go online, I actually take pictures of the textbook. So on Schoology, I take pictures of these pages so you don't have to bring a textbook home. If you decide you want a textbook, that's fine. I'll get you guys one today. But some people don't like the huge textbook. They're really old. They're kind of huge books for just looking up your homework. So everything is online. I can show you guys where that is as well. So I want you guys to go into your email, and your email should have a link for me. Did you guys get an email from me? Okay. So you go into that link. So go into email, and it should link you to our Khan Academy, and it should take you right into my class. So, and you probably have an account maybe already, potentially. If you do, you can use your Google. I would suggest using Google to sign up. And I will show you guys And right now there should be no assignments in here. Again, this would only be as if I had to give you like an assignment or we needed some extra problems. Do you not get an email from me? What in the world? Let me send you one. Anyone else need an email from me? Kylie, it should be coming to you then. Refreshing it, you're like, I signed in. We were up to 12. Holy cow, guys. Oh, I guess the email's not from me, it's from Do Not Reply. So and right now, there's no assignments in there for you guys. But if you're not on my, hopefully I have you guys. Let's see where we're at. Oh, we're doing better. We're 13. Hopefully you guys can see yourself up there. Okay, so again, we won't use this very often. This is kind of going to be a fallback. And we'll do this from time to time, but again, not very often. It might just be like an extra practice or review. Oh, sorry, you didn't get a computer yet?
Well, I do have one, but
Okay.
I have to get it. It counts the same.
Okay, yeah, we'll get you going. So don't, the homework is not going to be out of here tonight. So where the homework is what's written on this sheet. Now, if you want a textbook, you guys can have one. I have enough for you guys. But if you don't want one and you just want to use the online, sorry, let me find it. I'll show you guys how you can find it. It's in Schoology. And so same thing if you guys are ever absent and you need to find the homework, it's going to be online every day. So let me show you guys how this looks. So when you go into Schoology, you're going to go into the daily work. So when you go into Schoology, and most teachers have their files set up this way. You go to our lesson, which you should only see this week, here, and then today. So if you were absent, you could just pop this up every day. And then the homework is listed here for you guys. And then there's going to be book pages that are linked. So what I do is I just take, this is really low technology, but I just take a picture of the pages so that if you don't want to take it home, it's there for you. Another way to get to this, let me back out here. Another way to get to this is just when you guys go to your class each day, over here on the right side, it's always going to tell you what's due. So over here it says what's due. There's an attendance quiz for the students who are at home. So if there's students, if you go virtual, you'll have an attendance quiz to do each day. It's really easy. And then over here it said this homework assignment is due tomorrow. You can click there as well. So if you're ever wondering what's due for my class, it'll always show up on this right-hand side of your Schoology. So hopefully it'll be pretty straightforward and you guys will know what you need to do. So again, so you can go into Schoology to get those pages. Yes.
Are we supposed to solve these like a notebook or?
Oh, good question. So where should you write them? So just on loose leaf paper is fine. A notebook's probably good because you're going to hang on to it. Very rarely will I actually take your homework from you. It's going to be your practice. So you can just put it in a notebook. I would start a new notebook. You probably come close to filling it, like I said, because we have homework every day. So loose leaf is fine. I prefer the answers not be typed because math is something that typically you have to work through. So usually not like really putting things online. So if you are at home, you can take a picture of it and upload it. But here you guys will just show it to me tomorrow on loose leaf. So, and if you ever don't have paper, I have extra paper. So let me know, especially for this first few days. So I suggest having a notebook for yourself for algebra. Good question, thank you. So at this point, I'm going to give you guys time to work. So you can either go into Schoology to get the pages. Otherwise, if you'd like a textbook, I just need you to sign it out. So I'm going to pause our video here so you guys have stuff online. Let me know